In Disney Pixar's The Good Dinosaur, we meet Arlo, a tiny little dinosaur who wants to make a big mark just like his family. However, he's got one major issue. He's scared of a lot of things. Through a series of tragic events, because Disney hates parents, Arlo finds himself lost in the wilderness with a little human being that's kind of like a puppy to him. It's kind of a weird situation. On his journey home, Arlo has to do something big. He's got to face his fears, and he's got to discover that, honestly, fear's not a bad thing. Today on Geek Devotions, we're going to talk about why your fears aren't necessarily a bad thing, but why they don't need to rule you. Hello, Devoted Geeks, and welcome to Geek Devotions, the show from Devoted Geeks who are devoted to letting you know that you're loved. I'm Dallas. I'm so glad that you've hit the play button today. If you're new to our show, we take geek pop culture items like movies, video games, comics, and we use them to let you know that you're loved. So if you don't watch past this moment, know this: we love you. We care about you. There is a plan and a purpose for your life. Do not give up. It is week 2 of Pixar Month for us here at Geek Devotions, and this week we're looking at a really interesting movie that Celeste really wanted to watch. She really wanted to do the devotion, but we ran out of time. And that is The Good Dinosaur. Now, while this is on the top of the list of everybody's favorite Pixar movies, this is actually a very sweet and very lovely movie to watch. I want to encourage you guys to go check it out because honestly, there's a lot of sweetness to this movie. But as I said, the movie focuses around the journey of Arlo overcoming his fears. And there's this really interesting, big portion of it where he meets cowboy dinosaurs. And so then becomes a ranch hand trying to herd a whole bunch of longhorns while hanging out with some longhorn herding Tyrannosaurus Rexes. He has a conversation with Mr. Sam Elliott himself. Honestly, this guy could tell you how to make a box of macaroni and cheese, and you'd listen to him. In this conversation, Sam's character begins to share with Arlo about a really dangerous moment that he has fighting a croc and how it clawed at his face and also all this crazy stuff. And the kid's like, wow, you must not have been scared. And he's like, no, I was definitely scared. And he begins to talk to the kid about how it's okay to be afraid. Fear is a thing that we experience. But what are you going to do with that fear? How are you going to live past the moment of fear? There's this mindset, this idea that to be brave means to have no fear. That if you have fear in your life at all, that something is wrong. Fear is a natural emotion that's in us as individuals. God built us in a certain way so we can experience fear for good reasons. However, he did not design us to live in fear. He did not design us in a way that we should dwell on fear and it control our lives. There's a story that's found in what we call the Synoptic Gospels. That is Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John. And they're called Synoptic Gospels because they're all telling the same story from different perspectives. And there are certain aspects of the story of Jesus that are found within multiple of the books. One of those stories is found in Matthew, Mark, and Luke. And that story is the story of the disciples getting on a boat with Jesus and setting off across the lake. And while they're on it, Jesus decides he's going to do the natural thing, take a nap. But while he's napping, a massive storm comes up over the boat and it's tossing them back and forth. And the disciples are starting to freak out and they're starting to worry. And they go to wake up Jesus. And in Mark's gospel, they say, Jesus, don't you even care about us? We're about to die, questioning if he even cares about their well-being. And Jesus wakes up and rebukes the storm. And then he looks at his disciples and rebukes them for having little faith. But what is it that they don't have faith in? They clearly have faith in Jesus, otherwise they wouldn't go to him to wake him up. And he's not rebuking them for waking him up. He's happy to save them. He's happy to be there when they need help, to help them when they're living in fear. But the thing was that he was rebuking them of was the fact that they had allowed their fear to override their faith in who he was, who they knew that Jesus was in their lives. These were guys who walked with Jesus. They heard him teach. They knew that there was a greater plan for Jesus' life than what they had already seen. Yet in this moment, they're on a boat and there's a storm coming up over them and they immediately think they're all going to die and that there's going to be nothing beyond this moment. They've lost faith in who Jesus was in that moment. Not just that, they lost faith in the idea that Jesus even cared about them. In life, we go through crazy things and we are overcome by fear at times. And it's easy for us to maybe lose our mind for a moment and go, Jesus doesn't care, God doesn't care, then we're gonna perish and it's all over. But that's not the case. God loves you, he cares about you. There is a plan and purpose for your life and he has so much for you. You as an individual, you watching this right now. He's not scared of your fear. He's not scared of your doubts. It's okay for you to have them. If the disciples had come to Jesus and they said, Jesus, there's this big storm and it's freaking us out. Can you help us? Now I'm speculating now, but I have no doubt that Jesus woken up and like, oh, cool. and calm the storm. But in this moment, they allowed the fear to override everything they knew, to override their faith. You don't have to let fear dictate your life and to control you. You don't have to walk in that. A little bit of fear is not a bad thing because it alerts us about the world that's around us, of when we're going to be in danger and other things. There's a sense of caution that we need to have as individuals. But when we allow that fear to override our faith and to rule us, to keep us from accomplishing the things that God has for us, that's where there's a problem. My encouragement to you guys is not to allow your fear to dictate your life. If you're going through stuff, you're dealing with fear, reach out to somebody, talk to somebody, let them walk you through those fears. Let them help you to overcome those fears that you have and see God move. See God walk you through the situation and bring healing and hope and discover that there's so much more that's inside of you so that you can make the mark that you were always destined to make. Question of the week, guys. Tell me a story about you having to overcome a situation of fear, where there was a moment where you were scared of something, but you had to walk through it to accomplish what was before you. One thing for fear for me as an individual was starting this channel, starting Geek Devotions. Celeste and I were putting ourselves out there by starting this ministry as a whole. 7 years ago, we did that. We hit record and then we hit publish. And now 7 years later, here we are with a team of individuals who are supporting us and helping us. We have podcasts, we have articles. We're going to GeekCon in August to do ministry on the floor, to love on people, let them know love them, they're cared for. It's scary. We don't allow the fear of what could happen to override what God's given us. So I want to hear from you guys. Leave a comment down below. Speaking of those who support us, I do want to give a special thank you to all of our devoted Patreon geeks who support us on a month-to-month basis, who help us to basically finance what we do, help us to pay for our website, to pay for the podcast, to pay for the equipment and the supplies that we need to create these devotions and to create the content when we do that's designed to encourage people, let them know they're loved and they're cared for. If you'd like to become a devoted Patreon geek, visit our website, geekdevotions.com. and click our support page for more information. Now, maybe you're not in a place to support us financially. That's okay. You can help us by liking this video, subscribing to our channel, and sharing this with individuals. Share the ministry with other folks and let them know about what's happening here at Geek Devotions and how it can help them and encourage them also. That being said, I do want to invite you guys to be part of our community. We're on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. Just look for Geek Devotions. Don't forget the Discord channel that we have and our Facebook group, Devoted Geek Life. These are all spaces that we've created to encourage people, inspire people, and help them to walk with what God has for them in a geeky way. So until next time, ladies and gentlemen, stay devoted. Peace and love.